Hey everyone, welcome back to the Patriots Report, part of the Believe Network presented by FanDuel. My name is Christopher Price, the Boston Globe and BostonGlobe.com, joined as always by my podcast partner, two-time Super Bowl champion, Chris Hogan. Chris, I have a question for you. As a guy who came to the league as an undrafted free agent, I was trying to hammer home to colleagues and friends this week in the wake of the draft why it's better to be UDFA sometimes than to be taken in the 6th or the 7th round, because you have some options if you're an undrafted free agent. You have some possibilities. You maybe have some choices that you can kind of look at, as opposed to saying, all right, I'm just going to go to Arizona, or I'm going to Pittsburgh, or I'm going to Los Angeles. Tell me a little bit about your UDFA journey and that day. I imagine from talking to other guys that it comes together really quickly in the wake of the draft.
Oh yeah, that happens very lightning fast. Yeah, I'm not even going to begin to try to explain what goes on with undrafted free agents these days, because it seems like there's a lot more money getting tossed around than there was when I was being trying to come into the league. There's like guaranteed signing bonuses and all this other stuff. I was having a conversation with one of the friends of mine that is works with an agency, and I was just blown away because I think there was a undrafted free agent from JMU who is also a Jersey kid who they're calling in Jersey Chris Hogan 2.0, which I thought that was interesting. He's not as strong as me or good looking, but maybe he is. I don't know. They might have found one up in New England.
They might have found the guy.
But you know what? For me, I wasn't getting a lot of phone calls, right? It was round 7. I think that was over, and then San Francisco called. It was like, boom, done. Here's their signing bonus. Here's your flight information. We'll see you in less than 24 hours. I think for guys that maybe thought they were going to be drafted, they just kind of fell, and they visited some teams. A lot of teams had them on their board. I think that there are some advantages to being an undrafted free agent, because if you do have multiple teams or different options, then you can kind of weigh your opportunity, right? And say, if I'm a receiver going into a room that maybe this team just drafted a guy, or they drafted a couple and they have a very talented room, as opposed to another team that maybe they didn't take any receivers, and there's a lot of opportunity to kind of make the roster. So I think as an undrafted guy, there's definitely some benefits to being one of those guys. Now, you could be a guy like me you're just waiting for a phone call, and it doesn't matter which phone call or what area code it's coming from. Like, you're going to be on that next plane out, or however you're getting yourself to rookie minicamp, which is next week, I believe.
Yeah,
next weekend. So yeah, I think, listen, it's a once in a lifetime experience to get drafted, so you can always put that on your resume, and I think that's a pretty cool thing as an undrafted guy. Kind of start your journey out, as a not counted out, right? Because there's some very talented kids that get picked up in undrafted free agency, and there's only so many picks, right? There's 236 picks.
I think so. 200. Let's just say 200 plus. Yeah,
200 plus, right?
Yeah.
So not everyone's going to be taken, and I think as an undrafted guy, I think it's great for talented football players. Yeah, you're going to be pissed off that you get undrafted, but also you light a little fire into yourself going into an experience, right, where you're going to be surrounded by NFL type guys. This is going to set yourself up to want to prove yourself, to want to start your career off as, sure, you want to call yourself an undrafted guy for the rest of your career, great. And I hope you carry that chip on your shoulder for as long as you can last, because that type of mentality and the way that you're going to carry yourself, I guarantee you that it's gonna benefit you so much in just the way that you approach your day-to-day job in the NFL.
How much guaranteed money did you get? Can I ask that?
It was more. I'll say this. I think it was like $15,000. I mean, listen, at that time where I was, I was like riding high, man. I mean, this was 15 grand in the bank account. I could have been I was like going out and oh yeah, Chipotle, guac. I don't care. It's extra. Yeah, throw it on.
Give me all sides.
Yeah, I honestly, I was surprised when I actually got because that money. I think when I was playing, there was only a certain amount that teams were allotted to spend on undrafted free agents, so they spent that wisely. And so I got what I got, and I was just happy to have some coin in the pocket, and start off this journey that I had so long ago.
Do you celebrate?
No, I went home, I packed my bag, and I was on a plane the next morning at like 6 a.m.
Got in a plane, got out there. I ask you the money question because the Patriots signed an undrafted wide receiver. They didn't draft any wide receivers, and we can get to that in a second. But they signed an undrafted wide receiver, Kyle Dixon, out of Culver Stockton.
Mm,
I think it's in Missouri
okay.
for $252,000.
Like, where does that come from? Where does this money come from? I don't
It's
understand.
guaranteed money for an undrafted player. I think by my accounts, that is the most that they've given an undrafted free agent this year. That's the highest contract. That's the most money they gave an undrafted free agent this year.
But I also think there's little nuances in those contracts.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think that
exactly.
they see that money right. Well, whatever. That's good. That's great. I'm happy that I know they added a few receivers in undrafted free agency. So
Mhm.
hopefully those guys are, I know a lot of it. They have to kind of fill the rookie mini camp, right?
Yeah.
Like, drafted a quarterback in the 6th round. So you're going to want this kid to be able to throw to some guys, and you're going to bring in probably a few more guys on a tryout basis. But, I think the more competition you can add in that room is the better.
They didn't draft any wide receivers. They signed, as you mentioned, they signed a couple of guys who were undrafted free agents at wide receiver. I imagine, and we spoke about this last week, we're just kind of setting the stage here for the inevitable A.J. Brown trade because you
Yeah.
consider that. You take the fact that the Eagles drafted a wide receiver, Mekhi Lemon, in the first round. It feels like it's only a matter of time. And I don't want to keep having the same A.J. Brown discussion, but it feels like that we're a step closer to the post June 1st trade and kind of the remaking of that wide receiver room. And I would submit to you that even though they lost Diggs, and there's a big kind of charisma void there that we've discussed in the past with the loss of a guy like Diggs, you add Dobbs and you add A.J. Brown, and that's a better room going into 2026 than it was in 2025.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Just from a production standpoint.
From a production standpoint, and also you just have to remember, like, these guys now are going to have another year with Josh McDaniels. This was their first year. This was Kayshawn's first year. Mac Hollins, Pop. This is going to be Dobbs' first year, but given another year underneath their belt to really understand the offense and the different things are going to move faster this year, right? Minicamp is OTAs. It's going to move quicker, right? There's going to be some guys, Dobbs, you're going to have to speed up, right? But he's already in the playbook. Like, he's figuring this stuff out. He's been in the league. He knows how this stuff works, right? So he's going to hit it running, and I'm not worried about him. But things are going to move quicker, right? We're not going to spend a week on install one. We're gonna spend the first day on install one, then 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's going to move a lot quicker. And Josh's expectations were high this year, like last year, but now they're going to be even higher, right? For your quarterback, for your skill players. I think the only group that we're going to kind of see what is going to happen, right, is the offensive line and how that's going to kind of shape out. But, like a lot of the OTAs and it's not, you're in shells and helmets and you're doing a lot of individual work. And so I think there's more of an emphasis on, for them on just the overall, like, seeing pass protect, seeing the rushes, being able to group guys together. They're going to work together, understand the offense, be able to know what they're doing. But for me, mini camp at OTAs was such a, like, getting in shape, getting your timing down with your quarterback, right? Getting guys out there, getting comfortable with each other, so that when you roll into that last mini camp and then have a month off, going to training camp, put the pads on, it's like, we're this plane has already taken off, at that point, and we're really hitting the ground running. So, Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be great. Like you said, it looks like AJ. I guess like I saw something the other day that he was in Boston looking for a house, but I think that was total nonsense. But maybe he is. Maybe he found one. Who knows?
Love it. Love it. I will say this, that when it came to the draft, I thought it was a good draft. Not a great draft, but a good draft. They addressed some positions in need. They got a couple of offensive tackles. They got an edge rusher who is my favorite guy in this draft. This
Okay.
draft class, Gabe Yakis,
Yeah.
the kid out of Illinois, who looks for all the world like a terrifying presence off the edge.
Great.
Look, I was all in on Keon White, so I want to be mindful of not getting burned again. But
Yep.
this is a young man who I think has an opportunity to play some significant snaps early on. There are also some really intriguing guys. I don't think they needed a cornerback. They got Karim Prunty in the 5th round. I thought that was a bit of a head scratcher when they still maybe could have gotten another tight end or another, a running back. They did get one running back in the 7th round, J.M. Miller out of Alabama. But it's just they addressed some needs. They clearly went after they clearly had a plan and said, look, we want to get better at these 3 positions, offensive tackle, edge, and tight end. And they used the bulk of their draft capital on that group. And so it's going to be interesting to see. Look, we've talked about this before. You don't know until the pads go on. So we're going to get a chance to see him this spring. We're going to see kind of, those guys get put through their paces. And then when the pads come on and things get interesting, we're going to see. But I do think that in kind of extending that thought about the wide receiver room, A.J. Brown for me right now is the personnel tipping point. If you get A.J. Brown, I think across the board, this team is better than it was when they left the field after Super Bowl 60. Just top to bottom.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, Diggs was phenomenal. I loved watching him play all year, and he was a leader. Guy that kind of really got everyone going. Took on that role. I don't know who that guy is going to be in that skill position room, but it's not always necessary too. You got Mac Hollins. I mean, he was obviously a guy that can kind of step up. He proved himself. He's clearly has the capabilities of being that guy, and everyone loves his personality. I mean, I think he was well accepted into New England, into that locker room. But you know what? I think it's great because it gives opportunity for some younger guys to step up, because you're going to need that with this team. And Josh is going to expect it not to just fall on Drake. It's going to fall on let's find the leaders of each room. And we did this, when we were there in OTAs. We would have the room, we would meet as a group, and we picked different lead captains as you go in each room, right? So, and those guys would then go meet with Josh every single week and kind of go over like, hey, what's the practice schedule like? What are our goals? What do we want to accomplish this year as a group? What are the individual goals as a room and as a group? And I think that's probably an opportunity for Josh to probably jump into some stuff like that, so that he can really mesh and create relationships with the guys that he's going to be working really closely with for the next, hopefully until January of next year, February, right? So I think that's a unique opportunity for him to bring in some guys that maybe weren't in that role, right? Maybe it is Kayshawn or second year Kyle Williams, right? Or you got Hunter, obviously, and I think Hunter watched our podcast. If you listened to him the other day,
Yes.
I think he listened, and I thought he answered those questions beautifully. So if Stacy played our podcast in front of the entire organization, thank you, Stacy. So I think there's just going to be, it's not like filling voids. I think there's opportunity for guys this offseason to really step into some roles, right? To lead this team. Like, we had a great year, we had a good season, but that's over with, right? We're now we're into 26, 27. Like, next opponents moving on. This is a new season. Expectations are high for this team right now, or at least from my perspective. I think that everyone else is just kind of like, that was a fluke season last year and you guys are going to win 7 games, but I think that's bullshit, right? this is a good football team. You added some better players. I think they're going to continue. Like they've been itching for something to happen, right? With Vrabel. So like, let's just rip this team down by any means necessary because no one wants to see New England win. Like, that's nonsense too. We're not going to let that happen. So this team is on a good path. Offseason is going to be great. I'm sure they're going to have high attendance with all the guys being there because I think they're all in on this stuff and don't want last year to just be a one and done type thing. I think they're going to be this year. They're going to do some special things again.
We talked about the Vrabel stuff ad nauseum last week, and I don't feel the need to go back and revisit it. I know everyone is talking about it. Everyone is, now what we're doing is taking pictures of Mike Vrabel in airports as he's, buying Toblerone and sweatshirts, and just that's the whole thing. So I'm not going to get into it. We don't need to get into it. So let's just acknowledge that it's been another week of kind of craziness around that. And at the same time, we heard the quotes from Spillane and Hunter Henry yesterday. This was on Tuesday that, look, we're taking care of our own business. It's like we said before, speak for yourself. We're just kind of moving forward. Vrabel's addressed the team. It's not a huge thing in the locker room. We're just keeping our own little corner of the world evergreen, and we're moving forward from there. And so I think that we don't need to have that discussion again. What I do want to ask you about is, and we didn't talk about this last week, we got a tour of the new facility. Yeah. And
I saw some pictures. It looks
I wanted to kind of surreptitiously take a few shots for you, just kind of all that we couldn't do it then. The phrase that I keep coming back to with the weight room is you guys got hosed. You guys got hosed, man. That thing is beautiful. The new one is amazing.
I saw some pictures, just like, little ones from social media. And you could just tell this. You could just see like how big it is in the background.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this place looks great. It's awesome. I'm happy for him. So, cross that one off the list. They should get an A this year. And probably I'm sure they're getting catered in from whatever, the steakhouse in Boston is. So they check that off. We get another A.
Better food.
Or better food. Weight room's great. It's you know what? I honestly think it's awesome. I think every team should try to model a facility or try to build something. It helps, right? You get guys that are excited to come into a place like this, and especially during the off season where so many guys have their own feelings about where they want to work out. And, if you have a nice gym back at home and you have your trainer and, people that you trust and you want to do that, and like your facility is just not great, it's like, all right, well, cool. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do. But now you got this massive thing with all the bells and the whistles. Like, I'm coming back to work out there.
It's a palace compared to what you guys had. You guys were working at, and we've talked about this before.
Rub it in, bro. Keep it on.
The old place was like a dungeon compared to this.
Yep.
The one thing I
still got back-to-back Super Bowls in that dungeon. So if they need all the bells and whistles to make themselves feel better about themselves to get back to another Super Bowl, then by all means. But we did it with all the same food, the same guys, the same effing airplane. We didn't complain.
I will say this, that and there was a conscious effort, apparently. This was the discussion as we were taking the tour. Stretch, Vrabel's guy, kind of walked us through. And there was a conscious effort to have as much natural light in the place as possible.
Okay.
Like big, giant windows in the offices. And then in the weight room, just floor-to-ceiling windows looking out on the practice field. They said it was modeled a little bit after what they've done at Ohio State.
That's cool.
And it's a palace.
That's cool.
It's amazing. It's a quantum leap ahead from the
are the practice fields new as well? Is that different?
The practice field it's the lower field, but the building now you can walk from the building out to the lower field, and you can you're right there.
Got it.
It abuts the field, and so I'll say this too: the locker room is beautiful.
So there's locker rooms in there.
Yeah.
That's where guys are going to be. And then
during the week. Yeah.
And they'll have a game day locker room.
Exactly.
I got it. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. Congrats.
It is.
Good for you guys. pampered little, yeah, it's great.
These kids today, they don't know how good they have it.
We had to walk to the practice field, up the stairs, down the tunnel in our cleats, run, maybe a little light jog if you were gonna be late. It's nonsense. These kids these days, man.
I remember seeing guys. Well, I'll say this: last couple of years, if you were late, they would hop on the equipment guys.
Oh yeah, there's
little
plenty
golf
of that. Yeah, plenty of those too. I never, I was always, let's just leisurely walk down the tunnel. But no, you know what? Listen, I think it's awesome that they were able to build this facility. I think anything that you can make the lives of these guys a little bit easier to focus on what they need to focus on, like get them a little bit. This is something to be excited about for this team, and I'm sure that raises the energy up just a little bit this offseason and mini camp and training camp. But then I'm all for it. I think it's awesome.
Two things. First of all, when you walk in, two more things here. When you walk in, there is just like highlights playing on a loop. When we were in there, they were replaying the Baltimore game from December. And it's just great catch and great defensive play. And it just kind of reinforces like, hey, look, this is fantastic. This is amazing. There's parking underneath the building for players. So when you get there, you're not kind of exposed to the elements.
Oh, it just gets better, man. It just gets better and better.
And the other thing to me, I guess the biggest takeaway, the whole place felt Hard Knocks ready for 2027. Like it looked like the type of building that you're going to see that's going to come off well on HBO when they do Hard Knocks in 2027.
Sure. Yeah. Got the great lighting everywhere. It's
great lighting.
Good. Yeah.
Wide open spaces. Just good. It's absolutely.
So all the meeting rooms and all that kind of stuff, that's all in the new facility. And
yeah. Everything. Well, they got kicked out a little bit earlier probably than I think they would like to, because the World Cup is coming in later this summer, and FIFA's kind of taking over a lot of the building. And so like the PR team and the administrative
How many games are being played there?
I want to say 6 or 8.
Oh wow. Okay.
But it's changing the whole landscape because they're doing all sorts of stuff, not just the building, but you can't tailgate for the World Cup. And so
really?
Yeah, they're not allowing tailgating. They want you to buy the beer in the stadium, the FIFA approved beer in the stadium, as opposed to drinking it in the parking lot
for $25 for the
yes beer. Yeah that's I imagine that's the neighborhood for the going rate. But we're recording this on Wednesday, April 29th, and this morning the announcement's going to come down that your former teammate Rob Gronkowski is going to be the newest member of the Patriots Hall of Fame after a fan vote beats out Logan Mankins, Adam Vinatieri. The phrase that I always come back to with Gronk is that I don't think I ever saw anyone play the game of football with more joy than Rob Gronkowski did. What was it like being his teammate, sharing a locker room with him, and just kind of reflect on this moment for him going into the Patriots Hall of
Fame? I mean, first and foremost, I think it's well-deserved. I mean, he's going to go down in history, and I think he'll be a Hall of Famer at some point, in the NFL. Well-deserved to be in the Patriots Hall of Fame. I think what Gronk's best quality is obviously he's loved by everyone, and everyone loves him. I know he's got this goofy personality, but he was so much more than that. It was really fun to like kind of learn and kind of see Gronk go through a lot of adversity, because it looks like he's having fun on the field and doing all this stuff, but like you knew that he was always in pain or something was always going on with him, and yet he was always out there. He was always trying to make himself available. It's constant treatment and constant rehab, and he really, he made the changes that he needed to make to kind of maintain his body and to maintain his being able to be on the field. And I was able to kind of witness some of this stuff for the years that I was there. So I have so much respect for Gronk as a football player, and what he had to go through to get to Sunday, right? To even get through an entire season. And even going through all of that, and he's still, behind closed doors, maybe he was not frustrated. I probably would have been, but it was never like he had a bad day, right? There were some days he might be a little tired but But I went through that too, and like I was a miserable person to be around, right? And I think I just give him so much more credit for the things that he went through in his over the course of his career to continue to deal with injury and get himself better and get himself back to being able to play, and still is going to go down as one of the best tight ends that ever played this game. It really is incredible, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that probably would have packed it in many years before he decided to, just off of the injuries and everything that he had to deal with. And he was just so dominant on the field. It was I've been around a lot of good football players. I've been around some good receivers. Julian and all these Danny and all these other guys that I played with. Tom is different, right? I think he's dominant in a different way, right? And his ability to just know exactly what to do with the football and just make so many right decisions. And he was so great in a lot of different ways. Gronk was just dominant, man. I mean, this guy, two guys, I've seen clips of people putting him in a vice where they got a safety in a corner trying to just to stop this guy. I mean, that's insane to try to do that in the NFL. No, I've never, people would get, if you stopped Gronk or had a pass deflected against him, it was like they won the Super Bowl, man. It was just yeah, I got you, bro. But then, dude would come back and he'd catch one, over his head. And so, I was very, very fortunate to share the field with him and to be in the same locker room as him. It's an awesome achievement. What an accomplishment. Well deserved. If someone ever gets to wear 87, just know that 87 carries a lot of weight, and a really, really good football player and an even better teammate wore that. So I think those are the things that he cemented into his legacy. And, now he's got his own thing. I love watching him on TV and keep doing what he's doing. And him and Julian on his Dudes on Dudes podcast. I saw Jules the other last weekend. But all those things, super happy for him, well deserved, and couldn't be a better player, better teammate, guy that cared and did so much for that community. Super, super awesome.
You guys had a lot of haters. The Patriots always have a lot of people who don't like the Patriots, a lot of critics over the years. Back when you were playing, a lot of people hated Bill, a lot of people hated Tom, a lot of but people never I would have this conversation about Gronk, and people couldn't hate Gronk.
No, it's impossible.
And the thing that I always thought of was Gronk hosted a kid show on Nickelodeon. He hosted a kid show. You can't hate a guy who would host a kid show. Then the other thing too, I covering Gronk, covering Randy Moss, and covering Brady. You maybe Moss is top 3. Maybe people in Kansas City are going to argue that Gronk is top 2. Covering those 3 guys, that's a blessing for a writer, because you run out of adjectives when you consider the chance to write about those guys and see those guys do their work on a regular basis. It was special. Now, I will say that this raises a really interesting situation here in Foxborough for the Patriots Hall of Fame, because Adam Vinatieri, the greatest kicker of all time, is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but is not in the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Induct him next year. I don't know. I think
that's the thing. And just the way it's set up, there's a log jam of guys now.
You know what?
I nominated Mankins. Mankins is great.
Yeah.
Mankins is a borderline Hall of Famer, in my opinion, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Adam Vinatieri is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. These guys should be in. We got to figure out a way to get them in.
Just invite them all. Just do it all in one fell swoop. There's so many good guys. Just get them all in. They're all going to be in there at some point. Just get them all in. Why waste it? Let's have one big, massive celebration. Just do it all. If you're going to do it with anybody, you want to do it with the guy with 87, right? That's going to be one hell of a party up there, and he's going to have a blast with it. So, it's one of those things. You have so many. It's a great problem to have, I guess, because you have had so many great players. Maybe they just felt like Gronk's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame yet, so let's get him in and then Adam can wait. He's the big one. He can wait. So who knows? But yeah, in my opinion, just invite them all in. Just let's do it.
All right, I want to wrap up with a few FanDuel odds from our friends at FanDuel. The Patriots still sit at 9.5 wins over under for 2026, and they are plus 1,600 to win the Super Bowl 61. These feel about the same as they've been. They were pre-draft. No great surprises. I think those odds may get a bump once again if we hear the inevitable news, sooner rather than later, or maybe after June 1st about A.J. Brown. And then the number one pick in 2027. You want to guess who has the best odds to be the number one pick in the 2027 draft? I'm guessing it's going to be for the Jets, the way these teams are set up. But the best odds at plus 165, according to FanDuel, Arch Manning.
I saw that.
Quarterback out of Texas.
I saw some of these early draft predictions.
You want to do a mock draft, a 2027 mock draft yet?
Yeah.
You got yours ready?
Oh, no. God.
Well, I'll say this. I feel pretty confident as we sit here right now that next April, Arch Manning will be the first pick in the 2027 draft of the New York Jets. And another Manning going to New York.
Jets? You think it's going to be the Jets?
I think it's going to be the Jets. I think the Jets did some really good things. I like some of the things that they did. David Bailey, Kenyon Sadiq. But I still think the Jets are going to be
the Jets are the Jets.
The Jets are the Jets. Exactly. So we'll be doing the Patriots Report 2027. We'll be talking about Arch Manning as the new quarterback of the New York Jets and a new Manning going to New York, trying to save football in New York.
Oh, there you go. Maybe that's what they needed. Another Manning. Come save another New York team. Maybe that's what it is.
That's the layup right there. Hey, look, as a sports
something to look forward for, New York fans. Something to look forward to.
As the sports writer, you root for the storyline, and that's the best storyline.
Love it.
Chris Hogan, thank you very much for your time, my friend. Take care, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, brother. Have a good one.